Thank you.
Oh, now it just went on. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. I love
Sure.
your watchfulness, Leslie.
Okay. Great.
So just feeling into the body, and the instructions as written 2,600 and plus years ago say the very first work towards any contemplation, meditation, or prayer is to first turn the mind towards oneself and one's own good heart. And then we just feel the sense of the body here, sitting. We haven't even turned towards the breath yet. We're just letting the breath happen as it is. And the very act of calling the mind home to the good heart, resting in this peaceable, calm, relaxed body, is the practice. We feel the base of the body at the feet, legs, or the hips, and any part or all of those parts. You just see what your mind, this mind, is capable of. I usually walk it up. I feel the feet, knowing the feet, wishing them well, and then move up into the legs. Oh, there they are. This is a part of the suturing the parts into wholeness. And then we come into the seat, and we take this seat, this Dharma seat, this aspiration to see all things clearly. And we just remember this is one of the points of the practice, to see from stability, from stillness, from the quietude of one's own heart mind. We see, feel, sense wholeness. And then as we move up from the hips into the back, the shoulders, the arms, we begin to get a sense of the release of the body, the settling into the earth, the joining of mind to body in each out breath. It's like inhabiting a vacant apartment building. We're finally arriving and choosing to come home. And so we begin to commit ourselves a little bit more and more to that felt sense of coming home, of that dwelling within, of that stable, settled, calm, arising with each out breath. We settle it in. And then any in-breath that comes brings that texture, that quality with it. And so we joyfully, effortlessly, naturally enjoy the wave of the out breath first, And then coming into that light point, that place at the end of the out breath, where there's simply a place to rest. And we touch in there just for a hair's breadth until the beginning, the arrival, the invitation of the in-breath. And we're just going to rest here in the in-breath with a little more emphasis for a time in the out-breath as we settle in. Being sure to offer the breath space and room. Tightening up on the breath will actually create distress. Too small of a container and over focus, if you can imagine that. So we create a little space. You can imagine this whole body, and then maybe even a little extra room in which to experience the rising and falling of the body breath. Make sure to lighten up a little bit, not press down. The ego often joins in here, the controller, the protector, and the judge, managing the breath or opining the breath. This is not very helpful, but the recognition is so useful because then we can just simply let it fall away with the next out breath. The work here is to directly, most completely experience the breath. And the mind will naturally include sounds and voices, and sensations and thoughts. And we're not paying too much attention to that right now. There really is no breath, not breath here. We're just trying to make light contact with the breath. So don't feel like, oops, I'm getting it wrong. I just heard that bird. No, that's not correct at all. In fact, there is room and already more room within this awareness to include those sounds without being lost in them. But just for training purposes, we're going to stay as connected for a little while longer in the breath primarily. And we begin to let go and let the breath simply breathe a little bit more as the mind begins to steady. And those controllers, protectors, distractors begin to naturally dissolve away. You don't push them anywhere, there's nothing to do. We don't even engage the thinking, we just let it come and go. But something is already transforming. With just these few breaths. And as we become more whole, this sense of the body, mind, and heart is one into wholeness, breathing itself. We begin to notice that there's space and room and a stillness that can hold everything. And the goal here is not to rush to the things, it's to rest in that awareness itself, that which knows the body breath. We're not engaging thoughts and we're not pushing them away. We're staying in the deepest connection. This heart-mind awareness. And right now, just awareness of the body breath. And with all the sound that is around us, the goal, once again, is not to not hear sound, but to feel the silence, the complete stillness that holds even sound. And so you may be practicing with noticing sound and then not sound, finding our way back to that wholeness, back to bare attention, back to awareness itself, holding all sounds. Stillness and silence are the ground from which all things arise and into which all things pass. And we're holding the attention in that vast, open, empty space. And if that feels confusing or you've lost contact with this, come right back to the breath, following the out breath from beginning to middle to end, and then find that resting point once again. That's that point, that space. It's actually infinite. Stillness, silence, spaciousness. And let the mind rest there. The movement of the breath cannot disturb the stillness, as a wave does not disturb the stillness in the depth of the ocean. And then you can see that as movement does not disturb stillness, sound itself does not disturb silence. And in fact is held and included and known within it. With each out breath, we stabilize and settle the body into the earth. And in this relaxed body, this stable, settled, unmoving mind, we notice that there is an ever opening heart, a feeling of connection, belonging, oneness, not separation, non reactivity, no struggle, no resistance with all other objects. These might be sensations in the body, they might be sounds touching the ear door, and can include even thoughts. We're no longer hooked by the thoughts. We no longer mistake the thoughts for me or mine or I. We simply are the watcher, the observer, the knower, letting the thoughts simply come and go. And in these practices, what naturally happens is that we begin to expand our sense of connectedness, of wholeness, so that the small me, that which is this identity, this Diana, this body, falls away. No longer my thoughts, just thoughts coming and going. Awareness itself has no one identity. It is not limited to me or you. And in fact, those separations even fall away to this just sense of connectedness. And then in that sense of connectedness, I want happiness and freedom and ease, not only for myself, that small I, but actually all things. Those dogs, those birds, those trees in that sky. Feeling the sense of the complete interconnectedness. And as that identity and that sense grows stronger and larger, the wish for peace, the wish for ease extends beyond oneself and beyond one's immediate experience to include all beings. Not only the birds here, but the birds everywhere. Not only this body sitting here, but all bodies. May they all have ease and well-being. And the sense of other, wherever we had imagined it, begins to dissolve. And the commitment to peace, the commitment to the precepts, to enjoying that peace only grows. I am not only this body, I am not only the hearer or the breather or the thinker. I am a part of the whole. All bodies, all breathers, all thinkers. And then we breathe just naturally for all beings. And the breath moves beyond the body, it moves beyond this defined space, and it fills the boundless sky. And from that complete sense of interconnectedness and wholeness, we are naturally resting in right view, and then consequently generating right thought, right intention. And then our thoughts, our words, and our deeds all reflect that view and that intention, and are of benefit to the whole. No other. And then all thoughts are thoughts of goodwill. And then all speech is speech that is gentle and kind and of benefit. And then all actions contribute to least harm, contribute to the good. And do so for not only ourselves, but all beings. This is waking up and growing up. And thus we train and practice, both now and for all time. May we all be filled with loving kindness, with peace, with compassion and wisdom. And may we be well. And may we be peaceful and have ease. And may we all be happy, truly happy. And may this practice today contribute
Roman, do you want some oatmeal?
Yes, we do.
What?
We all
Okay.
want some oatmeal, Leanne. It's a great idea.
What? How about a smoothie?
Or that works.
Yeah.
Those all sound great. Let's. So I had the privilege of going to see the Dalai Lama film. Greg had suggested it. Greg is the president of our board, by the way. You don't know. Has been for lifetimes, really, and remains lovingly. And what I was struck by, really, was that every question that was asked, every question that the Dalai Lama was asked, he had exactly the same answer every single time. And the question was, well, what do I do about this? And what do I do about that? And how do I figure this out? And how do I figure that out? And every answer was, well, if you don't just see yourself as a small little me here with your problem, but you open that up to understand that this is just a part of human suffering, and that not just you are trying to figure out how to this, but others too. It'll give you a little more perspective, a little better view, I said. That's in the sutta language. And then from that better view, you'll be able, in some stillness and silence, to figure out what's best. Like, how do I then, right? What's the perspective that I need to take? Because it won't just be about little you. And how do I affect both that perceived, wrongly, by the way, he says, other, but what do I do so that we are all well, or we are all at ease, or we are all, and it didn't matter if it was about what do we do in the Ukraine, or what do I do with that boyfriend, or what do I do with that really irritating child I have, right? The answer was consistent. And I thought, well, yeah, that's right. There's the Noble Eightfold Path. He's laid it out again from the view that it is not just mine. It is not just me. It is not just, and it is not the other, because there is in fact no other. It's a myth. It's our greatest delusion, that this is somehow independent of that, called the other political party, or the other country, right? Or the other in relationship. And that as long as we hold that contracted, limited, tight, delusioned view, we will continue to get close to killing ourselves and each other. Well, that made some sense to me. I was like, yeah, seems like we're doing a pretty bang up job there. And that it isn't even enough to go, well, my whole country. No, it's not a big enough view. My whole political perspective, not big enough. My whole, right, family, nope. Until we understand that everything we do from the beginning of the view is going to decide whether we survive and are well, or whether we continue to cause harm and ultimately perish. Well, that was sobering. That's sobering, isn't it? Because then I went, well, I just established like 90 others in 6 minutes. The kids in the front who were making too much noise, and that person who kept running back and forth in front of me with too much popcorn, and right, my husband who said, I think I'm gonna invite all my friends to the night before party for the wedding. I'm like, really? Okay, well, othering. And in every othering, there is suffering. And it is never otherwise. It is never otherwise. And then what to do? Well, he said, I don't know. I just know the path. I can't tell you whether to throw that son out or not. And I can't tell you whether to bomb or try to kill Putin off or not. I can't tell you about that. I can only say that I know that it starts here with understanding that you are not separate from that addict son or Putin or, the left or the right or the center, wherever you're hanging out. And, right? That's right, isn't it? And that our practice by its design, this is Rhea, who is actually a recovering cat, so that she's walking around here with all these people is truly amazing. This is very risky for her. Good girl, Rhea. Good girl. That's lovely. We locked her in our garage for 12 days. Of course, not intentionally. She is not our cat. She's a neighbor's cat and almost killed her. So she is probably gained 2 pounds. Mhm. Yeah, so that tells you a little bit about where she started. Good girl. Yeah, she's doing so good. And so then one of my questions for you is, where do you notice you other? Where do you other? Where do you go? Nope, not me, not mine. I don't do that. That's not my, no, not. And that in some way, both our psychologies and these spiritual teachings say the same, which is that's just some hidden, buried, disconnected part of you. And then I think about Trump for me, for example, right? And I go, nope, can't be. I begin othering. Nope, can't take that. Don't want that. Don't like that. Not gonna. And it doesn't matter who does it. And that's just an example. It could be anybody, right? We could do it with now the Russians, or we could do it with Putin, right? Or we could, nope, not me. I'm not capable of hostility, violence, and aggression. But we are. And it is not to condemn that, really. It's not helpful, is it? Because then when we condemn it in ourselves, interestingly, we will condemn in another. It is to say, where is my fear? What's my pain? What is my, right? What's the storyline I carry? Which is if that happens, then we're all going to be damaged. And it doesn't mean that we don't have to take, we were talking about this last week with right speech, and we'll talk about it today also with right action, which is on the path of the Noble Eightfold Path. The right action says you will be compelled to act in this life. You got your pants on, you got in the car, and you got here, right? So actions are going to happen. But can you keep taking them not only from the perspective of, well, this works for me, doesn't mean you don't get to include it though, but that is there really, it's a part of what gets me up to practice every day, because the me in me doesn't want it. The me in me is not always in the mood. The me in me would go, nah, really, one more day, what difference is it gonna make? But I actually know better. I just know that that's lazy Diana going, oh, but it'd be so nice to just sit here. And it doesn't even mean I don't get to, does it? It means I just have to go, what's really happening? And will this be will that 20 minutes or 30 minutes of more of laying there, let's say, be of benefit? And the answer might be yes, right? On any day it might be like, no, the very best thing to do for me and others is to be well rested. Might be true. It doesn't mean there shouldn't also be potentially time for practice. Right. How are you? It's so good to see you. I know. Since I'm your killer, I'm impressed that you're talking to me. It is actually. It is. It's actually treat time. She's going, now somebody's got it. I just have to figure out which one of you humans took my treats. I'm going to go get those for her because I won't be able to bear watching her. But you get what I mean, right? Like there's the convenience factor of just me because it's convenient. And then there's just what's true, right, real, which is if I didn't sleep all day, all night, for example, and I have a really big day, it might be right then the best practice. And the right action might be to rest. That's why we don't set a lot of hard rules, because in fact, they don't recognize the conditions. Do they? But in our right view, we can, right? For self and other. Self and other. Isn't it true? Self and other. Well, we're going to get a lot more benefit from me laying here for 20 more minutes than we are from me making oatmeal. Very possibly, right? Because if I'm not then agitated or aggressive or distressed myself, whatever else we do for breakfast is probably going to be better. And I remember a lot of times, of course, for example, where I was throwing protein bars in the back of the car, right? Flinging them because that was better than the argument, right, was okay, like this is something. This is better than, yeah. So can you see first the following of that view has to be established. And without that, you can't hope to be skillful.
Okay.
Says I'm trying to keep it together here. But there's a time limit on this. Can you see that? Without the view, once we go into othering, once we go into me, you, once we go into this is now a conflict, rather than how do we include the sound of the bird and the sound of the dog, the sound of the in-breath and the sound, right, the experience of the out-breath, the harsh thought, the kind thought. If we don't begin there, you know what the teachings say to do? We don't start there. Anybody have any thoughts? What do you think? It's every really spiritual tradition. What does it say? I'm not really in right view because I got another over here. It's either annoying me or irritating me, or I'm thinking that's wrong or not, until I can cultivate that wider perspective, that more open, inclusive understanding, that sense of goodwill, compassion for not only my and me, but other. What should we do? Anybody out there? Nothing. Yep, stillness and silence. That's both correct. Nothing. Don't act. Don't speak. Don't speak, and don't perpetuate those thoughts because they're not helpful. You get right back into the body. You sit still, and you establish stillness, silence, and open space, just like we did.
I always remember one of the first things I learned here was be still like a log.
From Shanti Deva, yes. Be still like a log, right? And what does it take then, do you suppose, to recognize I'm in othering, I'm in meing, we could say it a different way, I'm in selfing, it's actually the same, they're just slightly, right, the mirror of the other. How would we know it? How would you know it? And then go, whoops, rather than perpetuate that thought, that's called prapancha, harmful, suffering thoughts, that's all. Because from that view, that mind, there's only harm to come, no possibility, none. how would you know it? And go, whoop, think I'll just back up the truck, spend a little time, nothing. Breathing. Opening to spacious sky, you could, right, go to the ocean, and look at the vastness, remembering the interconnectedness, right? That would be somewhat skillful. Right? So how would you, each of you, since you're sitting here, I got a thing, I'll check in on it. How would each of you, like, how would you recognize the two thoughts? Leslie says, sometimes for me, it is doing something like walking and not sitting. That's right, Leslie. It isn't actually the behavior, it's the mind. It is to stabilize the mind. And of course we can stabilize the mind, can't we? In just the walking, because now we're just walking. That's right. So sitting doesn't actually imply a posture. Sitting implies a quality of mind.
Often for me, it's changing the perspective. So like looking out this way.
Mhm.
Looking
Including a different view, just opening to a different view, right?
down.
Mhm. Don't you think that's why a lot of those people are sitting over there on the 101, looking out to, like, I've got to open up the view, right? I feel a sense of contractedness or tightness or separateness in some way. And that by itself just opens the door to remembering, right? The reminding. We could sit in the garden like this and just, right? Contact with all of that. Some people do sky viewing, that this one sky is holding everything.
So can I ask a question?
Yes,
So if you're, a lot of times you're caught up in it.
yes, mostly.
Most, yeah, so to sit there, like, it's easy for us now to say, oh, I would do this, but when you're in the center of it
Yeah,
and you're triggered and
Yeah.
you're,
so the very first right view in triggering is knowing that you are triggered. Bing, light bulb. It's like this. It isn't what we do when we are in papancha. We are just perseverating on thoughts. That shouldn't have happened. That's not right. That can't go on. This is going to be very terrible. If I don't do something, it's all going to be terrible. These are all tips for doing nothing. They're your best tips. Do nothing.
does it get easier? I would imagine the more you do it.
Of course.
then you can
Oh,
recognize
that's
it
just no
more.
doubt.
That's what I was gonna say, is that you have to practice the stillness long enough to know when you're not in it. You can start feeling like, oh, like something's different. Oh,
Well, my body will give me cues, and you have to have the self-awareness of the
There
shallow
you go.
breathing. Or in my case, my lips might start hurting, my mouth start
Yes.
hurting, but certain muscles.
Yes,
So, oh, anxiety, okay,
yes. Distress, suffering,
yeah.
contractedness.
That's happening.
That's right. And the awareness of it. And actually, we pick it up mostly in here. We're in the polyvagal bundle up in this area.
Starts-
Yeah,
That's here too.
I used to get vibrating, a feeling of vibration here before I even got the tight chest and even got that grip in the belly. It felt like just energy, or like something's going to come out of there.
My tongue too.
Yeah, that
Tongue
shouldn't
gets
probably
swollen.
be from me because of like, oh, good, rest back. Well, that was our whole practice today, wasn't it? Rest back. Oh, that sound of the dogs in distress, getting a little caught in that, going, oh, I could feel my own polyvagal system going, problems, there are going to be problems here. They're going to get in a fight. Somebody's going to hurt somebody. So, right. And wait a minute, before I can act skillfully, rest back. Rest back. They helped us, of course, by not escalating. But couldn't you feel the residue of that still? Well, that's skillful. Even knowing, oh, look, there's still the trace of that distress. It's still here in the little tight or jangly or restless or irritate, right? These are all these vibrational opportunities, and the body The body always, as Rick is saying, has a beautiful way of letting us know, doesn't it?
Actually, some of those body functions occur before the mind. The studies have now shown
Mhm.
that you may startle before fear settles in.
That's right.
Which just shows you that the mind is not just here.
That's right. The bottom up, we call it trauma or distress. And now we even know this about trauma. Jim is saying the body sometimes knows more than the mind can even capture, right? Because it's already in its activation. If you weren't paying close attention, you might not have noticed that residue from the dogs, right? You would just went, okay, that's over, that's good, but not really stayed in contact with the sense that really it's there. It's still jangled. It's still knotted.
Thinking about reaction. And one regrets the reaction.
Mhm.
The impulse is to react to the reaction.
Yes. Or to judge the reaction. That's right.
And then it's back.
Yes,
Because then you compound the reaction.
that's right.
It gets away from you.
That's right. We have just made ourselves other. Right there. We start right there by going, well, that was bad, wrong, unskillful, right? And now we've gone, no, not right. I want to separate somehow from that. And now we're judging it, condemning. These are reactive. This is not the whole heart mind, because the whole heart mind would say, I know how anger happens. I know the fear from which it comes, right? And it is true that sometimes we even have something called wholesome remorse to go, that wasn't my greatest moment. I went off. I took the right. I reacted. I said, did, thought in a way that wasn't skillful. But the work is always to come back and what? Feel for the truth of that, which is fear. I didn't want those dogs to be harmed. You didn't either. I didn't want distress for them. Right? That's actually true. And my distress was I want to help or attend, or, and I know there's a young boy over there who doesn't have good command of a shepherd. I happen to have a fact, right? And then I'm thinking, okay, is there, right? Wait a minute. So everyone's safe, including now that young boy, so that there's not harm. And in our reactivity, we don't breathe enough, rest enough, settle back enough to go, wait a minute, let's just take some breaths, see if it escalates. If it escalates, then maybe, right? And of course it didn't. Everybody intervened and did what they did. We had a little short dog argument over the fence there, here. But the judgments, the criticisms, the even labeling something as bad is a lack of understanding, isn't it? It's a deep lack, because what was happening is what? Lack of inner resource. Lack of inner resource. I didn't have right then what I needed. I was too tired, too hungry, too lonely, too scared to really operate or act from wholeness. And then our very first work, as Larry is saying, it's so easy to go into judgments. It's so easy to go into shame. Actually, like I am that. I am just this failed, deficient, wrong, bad, rather than with compassion, which is, yes, I understand our human condition. And that when we're not well resourced for whatever, in whatever way is needed, we will react, right? That will happen. And in the reaction, it is true, harm will result. And can we have wholesome remorse to go, yeah, I don't want to do that again that way. That wasn't helpful to me or to the right family or to the, and so I don't know yet, usually is where I start. Like, I don't know what's better yet. I just know this and it's enough. It's right view to go, I don't want to divide. I don't want to get into separating. I don't want to get into disconnecting. I don't want to get into me versus youing. It won't be helpful. And that's when I usually have to shut up. Because I don't have anything else yet. I'm not brilliant. I didn't have a great idea. I didn't know the right. I didn't, nothing, just not that. But that counts. Not separate, not disconnected, not with aggression, not with ill will, right? And anytime I feel it, I go, it won't help. It really won't help. Now, sometimes my mouth wins. I'm even saying it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But papancha, the momentum of the reaction, it's patterned, remember? It's already circuited in us. It's right there waiting to default. And we're growing circuitry. Like, let's just keep breathing. Let's just keep, right? We're growing something else there. Even when you have no idea. And a lot of people say to me, but I didn't know what to do. Terrific. I think that's a beautiful beginning. It's a new view. Like, I don't even know with this view what I'm going to do. I just know not this. And I don't have to judge it. I don't have to be critical. I don't have to condemn myself because it won't serve. It'll shut down circuitry. It won't grow it. It won't grow it. I promise. It's a contraction. So let's read some things here before we get ready to. Do you get this idea of right action? See, it's not a standalone, is it? It's not like just do the right thing. It's not quite that simple. It's not that simple. It means you've got to start with all of us in this, in suffering, me included, you don't exclude, and what might be steps, actions to take. And often I have to tell you, I have done the right thing. And I don't mean versus wrong, but skillful with considerations towards the benefit of the other without any applause at all. Nobody went, yay, look at her. She's terrific. They went, that's a dumb idea. Okay, I've got to stay right. Wait a minute. Grounding, opening, stabilizing, stillness, awareness abides. Okay, I can just let that be because I understand that new growth, new ideas are also somewhat scary and painful, aren't they? Our development includes some pain. We know this just by physical working out, right? You get to that place, don't you, where you go, I can't lift that again. I can't lift that again. It hurts. It's not comfortable. It's not skillful. And to go further will actually equal harm as well, won't it? Like, this is what I have right now. So I've got to be here, rest here, and trust. There's a trusting, isn't there? That in 6 weeks, right, that this continues to grow and develop, and that the mind is the same. Isn't that cool? The mind is the same. Like, I don't know how to hold this right now. It's okay. Just the knowing. We said, number one, the very recognition. I'm in a reaction. I don't know what to do with this. This is hard. We get to say, I don't have clarity. No problem. That's all skillful. And just in that right view by itself is going to help us. I want to read these and then we'll sit some more. Sometimes for me, it is doing something that was Leslie saying, like walking. It's mindful and intentioned walking that actually will be of the greatest benefit. Just the walking, by the way, would also be a benefit because there's a discharge element in that, right? Physical. It's actually not as good as really walking mindfully, right? With in connection to the breath, in the stabilizing of the mind, in that opening awareness so that we can see even our crazy mind. The mind's in the spinning, the mind that's going, no, I am going to shoot him when I get home. The mind, right? Yeah. Dennis says, our lives need to move, and where we move makes all the difference. Yes, action ultimately is a reflection of our inner experience, but I don't recommend it first. And neither did the Buddha. He didn't say just act or just move. He said view, and then intention behind the view, and then beginning the manifestation from there. And that begins with even what we say and don't say. That's always happening, right? And then from that, we form opinions, ideas, perspectives, and then we can act. But movement for the sake of movement, beneficial for the discharge. Just, right? You see animals just shake it off. You see cats and dogs yawn, right? Like, ugh, get it out of there. It is beneficial for stabilizing physiology. It is not sufficient. However, for seeing quality of mind, you need something else there. Which is why all the greatest athletes, and there are many I could name, I won't, not the point, but they're very skillful body, and they are addicts, and right, they're a mess in the world, and it's pretty common. I don't know if you've noticed, right? They're not so skillful out there. They've got a lot of body attunement, but they have not developed as well the qualities of mind. And there's a consequence. There's a consequence to that as well, right? It doesn't mean the movement's not good. It doesn't mean the muscle's not good. It doesn't mean the strength's not good. It doesn't mean the skill's not good. But is it enough? And the answer is no. Not for being in the whole world. It's good on the field. It's great on the court. And it might even be good in surgery. I won't tell you how many neurosurgeons' wives I've worked with. Mhm. Tom says, embrace the feeling, guard the action, let go. Yes, guarding the action is exactly right, Tom. And holding in awareness one's experience is the embrace the feeling. It doesn't mean embrace by going, I'm right, this is, but embrace by hold in stillness and silence. This practice completely reframes the concept of acting in integrity. Yes, it does, doesn't it? Acting in integrity of, well, developmental levels. Just me and other, me and other and them, right? We get into plurals, me and other and them and those guys over there, to plurals, right? To countries, to beyond that even, right? And we're in a little bit of a jog right now in our own human development, aren't we? We're going, now, wait a minute, there's these integral capacities to see the connectedness of everything, to recognize that the earth itself is going to kick us right off if we don't get this together in the next much less time than we thought we had number of times, and that we all are going to have to get together on that, which is even more than understanding the world as a whole. It's understanding the world as a whole and our part in it, and our part in it, integral, right? So that's exactly right. Breathing affects my heart. It affects every single thing about you. That is exactly true, including the way you see things, the way you form intention, the way you speak. And now we're going to talk about the way you then act. There's a thing called precepts. I'm just going to say a word about it because we tend to jam up on precepts. Precepts end up looking like the 10 Commandments if you're not careful. And it's not that the 10 Commandments aren't useful, but they tend to have rule-based, they tend to be a little static, right? They tend to be, well, I'm not doing that, so I've sinned or failed, or we can tend to dichotomize and create dual. It's why in these teaching, they don't go, don't kill. That's not actually the way it was written. It was non-harm. Can you feel the difference between don't kill and non-harm?
Harm includes a whole lot more.
Doesn't it? It's big, isn't
It can
it?
be emotional. It can be.
It's much bigger, non-harming. It's huge now. Well, that's the value. We don't get it doesn't then say, don't do this and always do that. It doesn't, which is why, remember, we've talked about it 1,000 times. The Dalai Lama says what? I will commit the least harm towards the greatest good possible. Well, what is that? I don't know. I don't know. Whatever that is, the least harm towards the greatest good is in any moment, right? I don't know. But aren't those sort of good, great basic values? Not taking more than one needs. Not stealing. Not actually. Not taking more, right? Taking what one needs and making available to others than what they need as well. That's a much bigger frame, isn't it? And we rest in those, can't we? You can feel a kind of relief, like, okay, all right, I can do that. I get to have basics as well as I will want basics for others, right? And not taking more than is needed or necessary in the moment, right, is something we are all going to have to look at, isn't it? Because that's going to have to do with the saving of this earth, right? Because if we just keep taking all the oil and we just keep taking all the water and we just keep taking all the, because we can, right, we're going to die. It's not going to work out, right? These are beautiful, right, necessary teachings. And so that's the precepts. And I asked everybody to pick one. I picked non-harming because it's inclusive and large and have failed miserably any number of times. But the recognition itself allows me to write it. It does. Like, oh, I really didn't need to say that much. I didn't need to say anything. I actually could have just let it go, breathe it for a while, and then, right, recognize where the needs were, and then act skillfully, usually, by the way, needing to do nothing. Mostly needing to do nothing. It was already in its way. Just like Rhea here, needing to do nothing. She normally sits on my leg and grabs, she's looking for it, like where? Okay, so precepts: be careful, non-harming, not consuming more than is of benefit, protecting others deserving of protection, children, women, those who don't have strength, right? Those who don't have power, those who don't have, we just saw in the last day, Amazon warehouse workers forming their first union, right? Protection. How do we invite protections without harm for those who don't have the resources we have? And so let's rest in that for a moment. Just feeling into the heart that has these genuine wishes. The wish for no harm, the wish for each to have sufficiency, enoughness, the wish that those deserving of protection are protection, the wish to have clear seeing and not be blinded or deluded by substances. The wish to think, speak, and act from kindness. And may we find the breath in the body and just settle into that out breath. Letting the good heart shine. We soften the body to shine that radiant good heart. And then we breathe right into it. Igniting the goodness. And on the out breath, from that point of view of inclusion, we send it out. We send out that goodwill, that ease, that happiness, that enoughness, that compassion. We send it in all directions. In this, we breathe for all beings. May we all be happy, having the causes for true happiness. May we be free from suffering, reducing the causes of suffering. May we take delight, may we rejoice, may we contribute to the blessings and well-being of others, not only ourselves. And may we rest and dwell in that vast sky of wisdom and compassion until all beings are free. This includes the birds, the plants, the oceans, the animals, the fish, the human beings. May we all be well, beginning with this right view, the view of seeing the interconnectedness of all things and choosing to place your mind on purpose in the present moment, that's mindfulness, towards the good. And may this practice and this discussion today, may it contribute. So be it. If you can't connect with the body this week and its contractedness, as Jim was saying, there's often a bottom up, body activates first. You can catch that quality of mind that's about the meing, the mying, and the right mind, I, me. If you notice the narrative, me, this, me, that, me, that, stop. Just step back. Try to get a larger view. It will be helpful not only to you, but to others. So thank you all so much for your
Thank you.
practice today. Give this good right action a shot and watch for the limits that not this rather than including. And everyone be well. It's so good to see the Norling family. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Have a good day. I think it's supposed to get sunny. I think it's supposed to happen. You're so welcome. Thank you. No, I've got it all. Thank you, everyone. Be well, all of you.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Yes, you as well. That was Lisa. Lisa's
Thanks,
on the board
everybody.
too. I'm pointing to board members, Lisa, because nobody knows who's on the board. Jim's left. He's on the board. You're so welcome, Renee. Good to see you. Brooke,
Carrie.
good to meet you. Everyone. be
Thank you,
well today.
everyone. Have a great
Take
day.
care.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Just the reset I needed.
Yes,
Kelly's on
we
the
all
board
did,
too.
Kelly. We all did. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend. We'll see you
Tanya, you
soon.
be well also.
Yeah, this is a perfect practice as always.
Always true, isn't it? And yes, Caroline, the garden meditation is on Passiflora. We put the address in the newsletter and on the website for Encinitas Mindfulness. And if you need it, I'd be happy to send it to you. You came by, I would say you must have accidentally hit the wrong address, but I'll send it to you. I'm sorry you couldn't get here. We will be here next week as well, everyone. I hope you're here.
Okay,
All right.
thank you, Diana. I thought it was that address, but wasn't sure.
Yeah, 816 Passiflora, just east of Saxony Road off of Lucadia Boulevard.
Perfect.
Yes, I
Thank you.
hope to see you. Thank you. And thank you so much for giving blood, Caroline. I'm still so grateful and appreciative of that.
Okay, take care. Thanks.
All right, everyone, be well.
So nice to meet you.
So good to meet you, Brooke. Have a good time while you're here. And I hope it gets sunny for you.
Yeah.
I would love that. It's actually, I think it kind of burns off.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be okay too. We've got a little e-bike ride planned, so I'm thinking it's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome. Yes, Rick, good to see you too. It was very joyful to have well, not the whole family, but yeah, a lot of the family.
You're gonna see the rest of the family.
Yay, good. Enjoy breakfast or brunch or whatever you're doing. Coffees.
Thank you.
All right, see you later.